Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to hop into a quick review for James Wan's Malignant, which is out right now in theaters. I'm pretty much going to jump into my likes, dislikes, and then my general thoughts about the movie because this is a crazy movie and I don't necessarily want to get into every single aspect of it, so let's just hop into my likes to begin. So I really like the beginning of this movie where we're introduced to Madison and her terrible relationship with her husband. He's just super abusive and says terrible things to her, and all she wants to do is have a baby for him. And eventually he gets all mad and he grabs her and slams her head against the wall and splits the back of her head open, causing her to bleed all over the place. Super gruesome scene, and it makes you really feel bad for Madison right off the start. This leads into our first supernatural encounter of the movie, where the husband goes downstairs and the lights start flickering, and this entity comes up behind him and slams his head into the wall. Really great opening scene, and when Madison comes down and sees the thing standing next to him, I got really strong Grudge vibes, and I liked how she goes to run for the door and it flies across the room and slams the door before she has a chance to escape, and then we get the whole scene where she's upstairs in a room and the door is shaking. Really loved all of that, and that leads into my next, probably my favorite thing about the movie, is once these things start happening again, but not to Madison, she starts experiencing these room transitions where she goes from one place to the other. There's this whole scene where she's going downstairs just to do stuff in her kitchen, and she leans down at the washer and dryer, and there's somebody on the other side of the washer and dryer, and they're like, "What are you doing in my house?" And then the whole room slowly transitions from Madison's house to this other character's house, and that happens 3 or 4 times throughout the movie. Love those transitions. They did such an amazing job with all of those. And not just that, the score of the movie during all of the creepy scenes is top notch. I think that's probably the best thing about the entire movie. The music is just so good and so creepy throughout the entire film. They really did a bang up job with that. Now, as things get going, we see a little bit more of I'll just call him who he is, Gabriel, a little bit more of Gabriel, the supernatural character of the movie. I really liked most of the stuff that was going on with Gabriel right up until the prison scenes. I'll get into that in my dislikes. But for the most part, I thought it was really creepy, especially when he's using the dagger that he created made from the first victim's trophy. I really liked all of that. I like seeing his little lair where he took one of his victims. I thought all of that was really cool. Madison was absolutely killing it as a character, and I actually really liked her interactions with the police as well. But that's probably about where things stopped being really good for me. As much as I really liked the first 3/4 of this movie and all the creepy stuff that was going on, when we get to the part of the movie where Madison is taken to jail because she's suspected of the killings, and we get the flashback reveal of younger Madison in the insane asylum or wherever it was, and we get to see that she has the ingrown malignant twin on her back. I thought that was all really cool to see as well. The old video of the thing on her back, I thought they did a really great job with that. I don't even know what to explain of that little monster that was on her back. That was really great scene, especially when everything was the lights were flashing and they were going in to take it off of her to save her. Learn that they actually just basically cut off all the body parts of this malignant twin that she had, and they shoved it into her skull and sealed it up. Really loved all of that, really great. But as soon as we get into present day back in the jail cell where Madison is with all these female inmates, and Gabriel takes over her body for the first time that we're actually seeing it in person. Oh boy. Well, I did like the beginning of that where she was just brutally killing all of the inmates. It quickly became a little silly for me. The backwards movements of the arms and seeing Madison's face just being aw on the back of Gabriel's head just made me laugh. And it wasn't just me. I was in the theater with a group of about 7 or 8 different groups of people. And when that first happened and it was revealed and she was running around in the police station, people were actually laughing in the theaters, and I doubt that's what James Wan was going for. And then once Gabriel got out into the actual police station and was killing all the police officers, while the action was cool, it felt totally misplaced in a movie like this for me, especially how the first 75% of the movie went. it just went to like extreme action sequence, and it didn't work for me at all, especially because we were seeing way too much of Gabriel. I found the more I seen Gabriel like crab walk backwards and all the weird shit that he was doing, it became more silly and more silly and more silly for me. When we finally get to the end and it's Gabriel versus Madison in her biological mother's hospital room, some of that worked and some of it didn't for me. Like, I like the scenes with the sister and how Gabriel was trying to get rid of her because her sister was like the obstacle between him and her. Like, Gabriel wanted Madison all for himself, and the stepsister came in and took that all away, so that was kind of like the reason Gabriel was even here. I don't know. I did like some of that sequence, but it felt really hokey to me, especially when you get to the point where Gabriel's like flipping hospital beds and stuff all over the place. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, why was Gabriel / Madison even able to do all this crazy shit? Like, flipping hospital beds, jumping from building to building, talking through like speakers and messing with electronics and stuff like that. None of that, unless I missed it, none of that was explained in the entire movie. It just showed Gabriel doing this like supernatural stuff, and then they just didn't explain it. They eventually did explain the visions and what was going on with the room transitions from one place to the other, and that, I guess, kind of worked for me. But I really think the movie could have benefited from an explanation of why Gabriel was able to do what he was able to do. So the final sequence of her versus Gabriel, I did enjoy. I feel like it was pretty obvious that she was going to put Gabriel into his own kind of vision world like he was doing to her. But I did like when he killed the sister and killed the mother, and he was like, ha ha ha, I've done it. The world starts to transition for him like it had been doing to Madison, and he finds out that Madison is in control now. I did really like that. However, when they finally do deal with Gabriel, and it's just the two sisters talking one-on-one, I find the lines there where she's like, now I realize that you're the only sister and only person that's mattered, and it doesn't matter if you're blood and blah blah blah. I found all of that was super forced. It did not feel natural at all. And speaking of things that didn't feel natural, Madison's wig was so bad and so obvious throughout the whole movie. I know that they were doing that because it was supposed to be a setup for later when we see Gabriel's face, but I just think that that was a big clue that Madison was doing it the whole time. Like, as soon as I saw the wig and like some of the shadow stuff they were doing with Madison, it became pretty apparent that she was either behind it or some supernatural thing that's like her was behind it, or connected to her was behind it. There wasn't much mystery there. I will give them major props because I didn't expect it to be what it was, with the ingrown evil half-dead twin inside her head. Like, I definitely didn't expect that, and I definitely didn't expect the craziness that went on in the third act of this movie. I would say that if I had to choose whether this movie was good or bad, I would probably say it's good just because of how wacky and, I don't know if I want to say original, but how unlike a lot of other movies this one is. I think it's a really great film to watch with somebody who's never seen it before. I don't think I'm going to be sitting down a whole lot to watch Malignant by myself after this initial viewing of it, but watching it with somebody who has never seen it, watching them trying to figure out what's going on, and then experiencing their what the fuck moment later on when the Gabriel reveal happens is actually totally worth it. I have two friends of mine that did not go to see the movie who I'm going to watch with it on HBO Max, and I'm so excited to see their reactions to Gabriel later on in the movie. So all in all, I think James Wan did a good job with this movie. I think it's a little too wacky and too crazy beyond a certain point for me to say I really, really like this movie or that it's going to be added to my yearly watch list, because it's definitely not. But I do think it's one of those films where if you throw it on and you watch it, you are going to have a good time with it. It's not a bad movie. It's just so insane over the top that you need to be in a specific mood to watch it, I would say. After watching it and like giving some comments about it on social media, I see a lot of people really love the wackiness of it. So I'm curious to see if there's enough support for this first Malignant to end up with a Malignant 2, And what the hell would even happen during Malignant 2 is what I would like to know. Alright, so what did you think of James Wan's Malignant? Let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know what you think of James Wan's movies as a whole. There's definitely a lot of good ones, but I'm curious to see where this one fits for you guys. Also, if you didn't drop a like, make sure to do that because it really helps out the video, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Alright guys, until the next one, have a good one.